As I film this, it's been 6 months since I posted the most terrifying video you'll ever see, and 3 months since I posted that whole slew of How It All Ends videos. In that time, the most terrifying video has garnered over 5 million views on various websites. The exact phrase, most terrifying video you'll ever see, gets over 100,000 hits on Google, and the word manpalo, a word that didn't even exist 4 months ago because I hadn't made it up yet, now gets over 3,500 hits. That all started from me, a Joe Schmo. Imagine what can happen if each of you adapts the message to your strengths and puts it out there in ways I can't even imagine. Several websites have sprung up around the videos, including an amazing community of people collaborating on projects at manpala.org. And I'm getting tired of saying links in the video description. So if I refer to something and you're interested, check out the video description for a link. Amongst other things, the people at manpala.org are working on producing a professionally packaged box set of DVDs of the videos in high resolution with bonus features. And every time someone buys the DVD set, I love this part, an extra copy is automatically sent to that person's representative in Congress or Parliament. There's a Facebook group called the Manpalo Project with a subgroup called Operation Fire Extinguisher, which only makes sense if you watch the video Your Mission, and then it's hilarious. Someone even wrote a Facebook app called Manpalo Project. I've been contacted by people from all over the world. I get messages from teachers saying they're using the videos in their classes, and messages from students asking for help with those assignments. I've lost track of all the languages that people have asked my permission to translate the videos into. French, Spanish, German, Dutch, Chinese, Bulgarian, Swedish, maybe Italian, maybe Portuguese. By the way, no permission needed. Go for it. You may want to check in at manpala.org first to see what's already been done and to coordinate and share efforts. I was even contacted by one of the lead authors of the Stern Report. All of the videos are available for download in medium resolution, and people are making DVDs on their own and handing them out. High-resolution versions are now out there too, waiting to be seeded as BitTorrent files. There are even iPod versions available on iTunes. Go there to the iTunes store and just search for How It All Ends. Mainstream media coverage of the videos, mainly centered around the success of the most terrifying video, was sparked by a blog in the Huffington Post, which led to an interview on a Canadian radio station, which then led to an article in the Toronto Star, which then led to an article in the Portland Oregonian, which the AP picked up, and the next day I had 2 television news crews in my classroom, resulting in a local TV news story aired that night and a story on the ABC National News webcast. Somewhere in there, a reporter from the Christian Science Monitor followed me around for a day, resulting in an article in one of the most influential papers out there. And while I've been contacted by several other media that haven't followed through, including a call from Good Morning America, all those contacts were really exciting. I did end up for 2.5 minutes live on Canada's version of Good Morning America, named Canada AM, which I gotta say is a deceptive title because it sounds a lot like a radio show, doesn't it? Especially when you've been fielding media calls all day and you're kind of confused. And especially when you just were interviewed by Montreal 940 AM. So maybe you can understand how I showed up at the uplink station at 4 AM for the live interview, East Coast time, unshaven and in a t-shirt, and only then to find out it was actually a television show. Luckily, I happened to wear the same t-shirt as in the videos, so while I may have been a slob, at least I was an on-message slob. The videos have been covered by more blogs than I can track, including being named Desmog Blog's #1 YouTube global warming video of 2007, beating out, I might add, the clip of Senator Barbara Boxer laying the smackdown on Senator James' global warming as a hoax Inhofe during Gore's testimony to Congress about climate change. I'm not sure if I get a statue for that award. I'm still waiting. Yesterday, I was interviewed by an editor for the German version of Men's Health magazine, and today I just got done being interviewed by a crew from an international satellite TV network I've never even heard of. I'm told that for a period of a day or so, a story about the videos and me was featured at the top of the Yahoo homepage, so whoever went there to check their emails saw me. I never saw it, but judging from the serious kink it put in my graph of views of How It All Ends, I believe it. For comparison, there's the bump from when the Oregonian story hit the AP wires. As a result of all this hubbub, a literary agent contacted me, suggesting I turn the videos into a book. I said, no way, man. I don't want any more projects. I just want to go back to my wife and kids. But since then, I realized that it is a way to reach a whole new segment of the population. And this time, at least, I could get compensated for my time and then donate the rest. Mustn't look like I'm cashing in. So I'm working on the proposal for that. In fact, if you think you would buy such a book, leave a comment on this video saying so. It would help to show the publisher that there's interest out there. Here's a funny story. I got a letter with a return address I didn't recognize, and the envelope it was in was a little lumpy. Now, because of my videos, I've attracted some pretty out there people who feel very antagonistic towards me, so I was careful. I don't think anyone's going to actually send me anthrax, but who knows what else someone might come up with. So I shook the letter and was careful when I opened it. It turned out to be a very nice card from a woman thanking me for the videos, and it turns out that the lump inside was my favorite quote from Edward Abbey, wrapped around two $20 bills. She told me to take my wife out to dinner or the kids out to a movie. So there are a lot of selfless, thoughtful people out there. Keep that in mind as you bang heads with the numbskulls. Along those lines, I'm happy to say that I've received way more positive comments than negative comments this time. The proportions were totally flipped with the previous video, the most terrifying video you'll ever see. And interestingly, some of the most persistent, hardened denialists who had been dogging the comments on the most terrifying video didn't make the move over to the comment section of How It All Ends. I don't know whether they saw it as an unbeatable argument or whether the foaming that I called for in the video Your Mission and executed by a dedicated few information warriors did its job and prevented the denialists from influencing casual passersby with their reasonable sounding but ultimately specious arguments. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention, you know how punishingly thorough I was in looking for all the possible counter-arguments to my main argument and then addressing those preemptively in the 6+ hours of expansion pack videos? I was trying to put out there a robust body of analysis for the world to reference, develop, adapt, and use, and I could just be done with it. Well, it turns out I did a pretty good job. Because within a few days of posting the most terrifying video you'll ever see, that bulletproof argument had been fatally poked full of holes, due to an assumption I didn't realize I had. But as of this filming, and I guess you'll just have to take my word for this, I have yet to hear an objection to the argument I presented in How It All Ends 3 months ago that I have not already covered, effectively I think, in the expansion pack videos. What I'm saying is, I think they got nothing. The only issue that people are challenging me with that I didn't already have an answer to as a result of my research is what one of them called the reset theory. You can pretty much guess from the title what that is. Humanity needs to go through a cataclysm in order to be purged of the traits that got us into this mess. And I'll admit, I hadn't formulated a response for that in the videos. So, that's the good news. I think it all serves as a sort of proof of concept that demonstrates that there is a very real possibility that you and I, by doing this, can change the world. So let's talk about how to go about doing that. If you're like me, all the bad news may make you feel very closed in, very trapped. Almost everybody feels that yesterday we had more space, more community, more safety, more opportunity. It seems we're up against the limits of growth now on a finite planet. Wouldn't it be cool to go back to that feeling of the future is wide open and limitless? I think we can do that if we allow ourselves to be free to choose new definitions. Like that Hal Harvey quote I shared in the video The Solution, where just realizing that what people want is not barrels of oil or kilowatt hours of electricity, but instead light, heat, mobility. Just making that realization completely opens up the picture of what's possible. So if we're up against the limits of growth now, maybe we can sidestep that by focusing on quality of life instead of more growth. I subtitled this video On the Threshold because I think we may be on the threshold of a whole new way. I'm no expert, but looking at the issue, it sure seems to me like the crisis of global climate destabilization may change all sorts of things. Not just our energy economy, but our ideas of community, our governance structures, our political philosophies themselves, our views of liberty and security, our economic models. We are on the edge of the undiscovered country, but that's not necessarily good news. On the other hand, it's not necessarily bad news either. It's just really high stakes news, that the stakes in the game have gotten much higher than they ever have been before. So if we want a happy ending, we'd best keep our eyes on the road. This is not about politics. This is about pragmatism. So what do you do from here?